Welcome to today's episode of the Declutter Hub podcast, your channel for super easy, no-nonsense advice on how to declutter and organise your home. Please welcome your hosts, professional organisers Ingrid Jansen and Lesley Spellman. Hello and welcome listeners to episode 103 of the Declutter Hub podcast. I'm Ingrid.
And I'm Lesley.
If you have clutter and want to sort it out, this is the show for you. Now, in today's episode, Lesley and I are talking about the new Netflix series, Getting Organized with the Home Edit. Everybody has been talking about the show, and it's been interesting to read all the different ideas and opinions. Now, Lesley and I have, of course, been watching the TV series, and I've now seen episodes 1 to 4. How about you, Lesley?
I am 1 to 4 as well. So that means I have seen Reese Witherspoon, she's called. I think she's not Witherspoon. I just want to call her Witherspoon. Ava Longoria, Khloe Kardashian, and who's the other one?
The lady that lost the fashion designer.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know her.
No.
Didn't know her, but the lady who loves the fashion.
Yeah, so basically what they're doing is every episode, they have a celebrity, and then they have, shall we call it normal people? I mean, what do we say, Lesley? I mean, people who are just have a house and they are not celebrities. They're not famous. So I think we've seen a walk-in wardrobe. We've seen a garage. We've seen a kitchen, and we've seen another wardrobe that nearly turned into a whole bedroom revamp, wasn't it?
And it's been good fun, but it's been interesting to watch because obviously we have our own Facebook community. We have our own community within our membership, and we are part of other decluttering communities as well. So we see a lot of what's going on and what people are thinking. And I think it's fair to say views are fairly polarized, aren't they?
Yes, it kind of reminded me a little bit about the Marie Kondo series that came out about just under 2 years ago now. And everybody, it was like the famous English Marmite. You either love it or you hate it. There's hardly any in the middle, is there?
I know, and I think this is the same. And we try to have an open mind, don't we? And I guess that we look at things perhaps in a slightly different way as professionals, because ultimately the two ladies who do that, Clea and Joanna, that's right, isn't it? Clea and Joanna?
Yeah.
They are very successful professional organisers, aren't they? So they do the same job in principle as we do, don't they? So it's interesting for us to watch it.
We kind of geek out on any organising, decluttering, interior design show, nice homes. We love it, don't we?
We do. And so we've been talking about it. So as soon as we watched the first show, so we both watched it by chance. I mean, it wasn't that much by chance, really, because it was just started up on Netflix that week. So it wasn't unusual that we might have picked it up. So we both ended up watching the first show on the same night. And then instead of working, our procrastination was we spent an hour the next day when we should have been doing something else, of course, talking about the Home Edit show. And I'm like, we need to do a podcast on this. And so that's what we're here to do, to talk about how the show has been done and how that differs to the way that we do things and generally what we think and what other people think of it.
Well, Lesley, my first impression was, I want to have a house like that.
I know, yeah.
I live in a tiny house. I mean, okay, not a tiny house, but I don't have a very large house. And I was like, wow, I would absolutely love to have a walk-in wardrobe. I mean, probably all the clothes that my whole family owns would fit in that closet. But it was very the houses are very impressive, aren't they? They're so, I mean, it's all filmed in the United States. There's very, very large houses there. And I think secretly we're all a little bit jealous, aren't we, really?
Maybe we are. Some of us are jealous and some of us absolutely will not be jealous. And that's the interesting thing about it. So the first thing that I wanted to say really was that one of the things that we are absolutely big advocates of here at the Declutter Hub is we operate a no judgment zone. And so in the same way that we wouldn't judge anybody in terms of the clutter that they've got in their house or the way they're organising their homes, I don't really want to sit here and judge celebrities for having those houses and those closets and those volumes of clothes, because ultimately that's their livelihood, isn't it? So that's where they're making their money. They're making their money because people like us love seeing them in a new dress on the red carpet. Not everybody loves it, of course they don't, but some people, a fair amount of people, love celebrities and what they offer in terms of the dream. So that those volumes of clothes, those sizes of closets, those lovely, beautiful homes, they come with the territory, don't they?
Yeah, I think so too. And if I look at Eva Longoria's house, I would expect a nice house because she's a very famous actress who's been going for a very long time. She's been super successful. I would not expect her to have a tiny little cabin somewhere in the woods. I know she's in Hollywood in a gigantic mansion, and we all love a bit of a sneak peek into somebody else's cupboards and closets and garages, don't we?
Yeah, well, I do anyway. I love seeing inside Ava Longoria's home, and I loved seeing Reese Witherspoon's costumes from all the shows she's been in. It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's what we really have to remember about this. This is a TV show designed to entertain people.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily that. It does have an educational part to it. Of course it does, as all reality TV does. More than anything else, it's an entertainment show, and that's what we've got to remember.
And, probably, and this, as well as I do. And we've been talking to professional organizers who in the UK here have been on television as well. In the end, they cut out so much stuff. What you see is 45 minutes of entertainment, while they probably have 16 or 24 or 40 hours of film to cut down to and edit to a 45-minute show.
Yeah, and of course, even before the editing, the producers will want to deliver that show in a certain way. So as a professional organizer or whoever is on a show, it may not be completely representative of what you want to do, but you're kind of beholden to other people because they're producing the show, I guess.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So first of all, no judgment zone. We're just jealous. We want our own TV show, don't we, Ingrid? One day. I just don't think we've quite got the kind of Cleo and Joanna glamour, to be honest with you, but maybe we might be a little bit old. Is that really sad to say that we're probably a little bit old for a Netflix show?
I know that on TV you gain like 10 pounds for just being on TV, and I'm thinking I probably need to lose like 5 stone before I'm even allowed on television.
I know, yeah, that is not good. Yeah, it's not good. Let's not go there. But if any TV producers are listening and want to engage our services, we're more than happy to take part, aren't we? As long as we can do it in our way, which we're going to talk about now. Yeah.
Yes. I think the other thing that I also wanted to say, Lesley, is a lot of people that have been watching the show have been talking about the amounts of baskets and containers and plastic things they've used to make it look pretty. And everybody's been saying, but there's already so much plastic. There's already so much going on. So I think the consumerism and the amounts that people have in their houses, I think what's given I love it or I hate it kind of vibe, hasn't it?
Yeah, definitely the consumerism in terms of the plastic, the unnecessary plastic then, I guess, and also the consumerism in terms of the huge volumes of clothing and shoes and that kind of thing. But again, I guess that comes with the territory, to be fair. And then a lot of celebrities will do nice things with those and will give them away and will auction them off to charity. So there's another side to that as well, isn't there? And of course, Reese Witherspoon is not going to let go of all those things because they're her sentimental items, aren't they? So all those dresses for the show are her equivalent to us wearing a dress when we got engaged or whatever. So they're her sentimental items. She's just got kind of a lot of them, I guess.
I think the doctor in the first episode had a really, they even fitted a chair in there and a rug, and they put new curtains in and they put islands in. Even the people who were not celebrities had so many items, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. So consumerism is definitely something that's part of the show. I think let's leave it at that.
Yeah.
People presumably are going to be quite interested in thinking about what we think of their methodology. So we did our podcast on Marie Kondo, and it's fair to say Marie Kondo is much more about decluttering than she is organizing. So the Marie Kondo show is definitely got that decluttering angle, whereas this show is getting organized. So it's all about the organizing and not about the decluttering. So what do we think about Joanna and Clea's methodology, Ingrid?
Interestingly enough, a lot of the things they mentioned, we do too. They were talking about, You need to create zones. You need to put like with like to make it easier to find items, containerize it, set yourself a goal. What are you trying to achieve? So a lot of the things that I see coming back in the show, we use too.
So the fact of the matter is that Joanna and Clea are professional organisers, you know, accomplished professional organisers. They've been doing this for many years. It's just that they have a slightly different client base. Well, not a slightly different, a very different client base to you and I would say, in terms of the celebrities that they have worked with, and probably more top end and wealthy clients. And so we love their methodology.
Yeah, I mean, they talk a lot about getting the uniform hangers, and that's something that we really know works as well. Of course, they probably take the very fancy hangers. We're like, okay, there's other hangers available that don't have to cost so much, but having a uniform hanger in a wardrobe really, really makes a wardrobe look much better. So that's something that came across from the series. I personally really enjoyed seeing some of the ideas, how they hang the handbags, the different hangers that they use, the hooks that they used. I thought that was really clever. Things like in the jewelry, they did a little jewelry sorting. They used those stackers, basically they're trays that you can stack on top of each other, where they did all of the kind of sorting out. It's really all about organizing, isn't it? About visibility, about using clear containers so you can see what's in there. They just have a really knack to it, and they know how to make it absolutely stunning with all the clear see-through containers. But the whole idea about being able to find something so then you can use it, that is very, very much what we feel as well.
So yeah, so actually I love their methodology, and I thought it all made sense. Every time a tip came up on screen, it would be a tip that we would give as well.
Mm-hmm. And they said something really interesting, Lesley, didn't they? They said, it's either the item or the space. Very few people get both.
But let's talk now about different approaches. So there are elements of the show that the way that they've been working or shown to be working on the show that would be different to the way that we would work. So let's talk about that now.
Yes. So what I must admit, what I missed a little bit in the show, and I was surprised about that, because they're called the home edit. So I thought it was going to be more about editing. And in their system, they also mention edit as one of the main components in doing a wardrobe or a garage in a room in your house. But the edit part was really, really betrayed very briefly in the show. So you did see them ask their clients a couple of times, oh, do you want to keep this or can it go? And they were showing about 5 or 6 items. And then they basically said to either the celebrity or the person, you can go now, it's fine, we'll do it all for you. But for me, that's like the most important thing in the whole decluttering and organizing and storing process, is to actually be involved in the decision making and helping my clients and helping our members to make those decisions. What is important, what needs to stay, and what can go. And I have a feeling they did it all for them, and I really miss that.
The thing that really struck me, Ingrid, is, and honestly, be honest here, if you did a quick 5 minutes with somebody at the beginning of a session and they said, oh, actually this skirt can go and that blouse can go and those shoes can go, would you remember once they'd walked out of the room? Would you remember that? We go through one item at a time and make a decision on it, and it gets put in the right place, whether that's a charity or a keep or categorize or whatever that is. I wouldn't remember what somebody said at 9 o'clock in the morning if I was approaching that item at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And so I would have to have the client there. And ultimately, there needs to be ownership of that decision from the client. And there needs to be a big part of what we do is this transfer of skills. And so we're not just wanting to be there all the time when somebody wants to declutter, because we say all the time, decluttering is not a project, it's a process. So even if we're working one-to-one with a client, we want them to know how to do it on their own after we have gone. Not that they, I mean, it's lovely, of course it is, and we do go back repeatedly to clients, but it's also lovely if we teach somebody in one session what to do, and then they can continue to do it on their own. So it's this transfer of skills, and if people are not involved in that process of the decision making, how can they learn and be educated about the way forward?
And as a result of that, maintain the system, because they've not been involved in the setting up and the reasons why it's set up. And I think also, if they've only talked about maybe 10 items. Do you want to keep it or can it go? But how do you, as professional organizers, how do they make decisions about the other 1,000 items that are in the room if the client's not there? So for me, it almost seemed like we're going to filter a couple of things out, but everything else is just going to be beautifully organized. And it looked absolutely stunning. Let's be honest here. It looked amazing. The cupboards looked amazing. But I was just thinking all the time, how do they know what the client wants to keep and what can go? And if they have made the decision for the client what can go, where's all that stuff gone? Have they got like a separate room or a corner in the room that they didn't film, or all the stuff is stacked up that they think the client doesn't want to keep? I'm like intrigued by that. They were like talking about, we'll put it away. And I'm thinking, but where are they putting it away? Where? In my house, I've got no room where I can put stuff away.
And then I was a little bit disturbed by the term archive. Did you hear them talk about archiving things? And I was like, what does that mean, archive? Does that mean put it somewhere in a box to make a decision about it later? That's the impression that I got. I mean, they used the term archive. I think it was with the lady that was the fashion designer in the second show, wasn't it? They used the term archive because they knew that she was very reluctant to let things go. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, in a home like that, she might have said, I don't want anything to go, and that's her prerogative. And then you can organize for a client. But as we say, this transfer of skills and this learning is going to be very different. But let's be honest with you, all of the people, let's say the celebrity part of the show, they are going to have staff working for them that are doing all that for them. So are they then involved on a day-to-day basis in keeping track of their wardrobe? They're going to have staff, aren't they?
Yeah.
To do all that. And so they're probably not managing those systems themselves. And so it's probably making a great system that the staff can then work with.
Yeah. Yeah. And also I think the people in the show who were not celebrities, they were still people that lived in quite large houses, weren't they?
Yeah.
So they're different than the people that we work with. I mean, I don't know if any of my clients would want to, if they would want to spend thousands of pounds on organizing products, because those beautiful clear containers are quite expensive, and we would maybe use one or two, but especially the beautiful walk-in wardrobe with the doctor, there was tons of Lazy Susans and see-through containers and all beautifully labeled, and that must have really cost a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, every time I see them walk into the container store, I must admit I'm absolutely envious beyond envy, because the container store, if anybody's ever been there, is like a professional organizer's dream, isn't it, of all these beautiful organizing products. And we do have things here, but nothing that brings it all together under one roof like the container store, to be fair. So if the container store wants to come to the UK, please do come, because we'd love to see you here. But ultimately what this is all about, Ingrid, is that their target market and our target market, in terms of the clients that we work with and the members that we work with, are completely different types of people. Yeah. And so have I worked in homes that are worth millions of pounds? Yes, I have. But there's still that overwhelm and that need for me to get involved and be involved in the process. I've not worked in a multi-million-dollar home where they've said, actually, Lesley, I don't want to be part of the process. I'm just going to leave you to it. Because if anybody's ever said that, I don't do that. That's not the type of job that I do. That's not my best work. I'm not there to do it for somebody. I'm there to do it with somebody. So we would walk away at that part, because that's not the way that we work. But that doesn't mean to say that nobody else can work in that way. There are organisers in the UK that work in that way. And far be it from us to say that doesn't work, because obviously it does for other types of people. I think it really did morph as well into an interior design show at times. Even some of the organising products, even though they were organising products, to me were taking it to that next level of design. You know that I do some design work as well, so that would definitely come towards the end, more in the design side of things. Let's get instead of using this normal box, let's get a beautiful box. I would definitely class that as part of the design side of things as well. So, and what's not to like about somebody doing a makeover in a bedroom? We love interior design shows and we love makeovers, don't we?
Yeah, it was interesting because I actually was watching with the kids. They were happening to be in the living room as well, kind of half watching. And my son said, "It's a makeover show. It's not a decluttering show." And you know what? I enjoyed it at the same time, but I was thinking, yes, this goes way beyond a decluttering and organizing project that I would normally do. I don't have a handyman with me or 6 girls that can help me kind of fold things beautifully. It's me who does it. And I, I I'm not going to paint rooms with a team of people and get new curtains. That's not my thing. I'm more focused on the decluttering and organizing. But I mean, it's very aspirational, isn't it? It looks beautiful.
When they were doing a kitchen one, and there was literally like 8 people in the room at once, and I think I'd be like, whoa, everybody needs to leave. I think it would take an organizational project and make it chaotic to have so many people involved. Do you know what I mean? And so I think it's chaotic. I mean, it's fine because the client wasn't there and they obviously know what they're doing and so on. And wouldn't it be lovely to just have a handyman on tap to put new things in and chop things off skirting boards to make things fit? It'd be fantastic. I mean, I do get a handyman in to change things all the time, but it's not normally on the day I do the session. We normally identify that needs to be done, then do it later, because I don't have somebody with me all the time, sadly. But yeah, so yeah, different type of person, different type of need, different type of home, different type of budget. I think all of those things play a real part, don't they?
You know, what we just don't want to do is kind of go, yes, this is the way to move forward. This is the way it goes when you hire a professional organizer. We are all about keeping it real and breaking down the task. Of course, it's great to have aspirations of having a lovely house and a lovely room, but it won't happen overnight. It's not going to be perfect. You have to work with what you've got, with the budget you have, with the energy you have, with the time you have. And within that, you can build on that. And we've seen fantastic transformations within our membership of people slowly but surely changing the way they think about their home, about their stuff, identifying what's important to them, and then using that to change their home, and it all starts to fall into place. But will it be as Instagram perfect as the show? Possibly not, but I don't think that's the end goal. I think it's all about being happy in your home.
Yeah, and I think the end goal is about you being happy. And then once you're happy, once you've done the decluttering, you've done the organizing, and you fall back in love with your house again. And we talk about this all the time. People get so disillusioned because of the clutter in their house that they fall out of love. And they're like, I hate my house. It's too small. It's full of clutter. I want to move. Same principle. I just want to throw everything in a skip. Same principle. I just want to burn everything that I own. We hear those things all the time because it gets so overwhelming for people, they don't see a way out. Once the clutter has gone, that's when all of a sudden you start to see the light a little bit, and then people start to fall back in love with their house again. Then people then start to feel better about themselves. And at that stage, then they start to think about the design projects, the decorating of the room, the changing things up, the getting a new kitchen, all that kind of stuff comes potentially later and not as part of the decluttering project.
Exactly what you're saying, Lesley. We see this happening with our members, isn't it? With our VIP members. They're changing their way of thinking, and that is just so interesting. And they're learning from us. We're giving them the tools to move forward with those projects and to go, if something has happened or it's gone wrong or it hasn't gone perfectly, that's okay. Move forward. And that's, I think, for us, our greatest joy that we get from working with the VIP members, isn't it?
So we do have a very different style and approach to the Home Edit Girls. And if that's something that you think, yeah, I quite like that idea of a mindset change, come and join our membership. We would love to have you on board, wouldn't we, Ingrid?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Lesley, we've now talked about the methodology of the home edit. We've talked about the different approaches. Were there things that we thought, oh no, we were watching and I was making some notes. I'm not going to lie. I have a little notepad with things that I thought, oh, I would have done that differently. So have we got anything that we think if it was us, we would have done it differently? So is there anything that you picked up?
Yeah, I think the first thing that I wanted to talk about was when they were doing a kitchen declutter. Now, the kitchen declutter that they did was for in inverted commas, normal family. It was a cluttered kitchen. It was a very typical cluttered space that you and I would work with every day. But the thing that sort of struck me was they did something very similar to what they did on the Marie Kondo show, which was to advocate taking everything out of the cupboards all at once. Now that is hugely overwhelming. Now they had 6 people working on that project, so that could work. But if you're working at home on your own, never take everything out of your kitchen cupboards at the same time. Do it one cupboard at a time, even if that means that towards the end of it you think, oh, actually that stuff in that cupboard would work better elsewhere. You're better off to do it piecemeal, because you never quite know what's going to happen in the course of a day. Things happen which mean that all of a sudden at 4 o'clock your child might come home from school, and then you're faced with the entire contents of your kitchen all over your kitchen floor and work surfaces. So I found that very overwhelming, and I would not want to encourage people to do that.
Yes, I fully agree. And I also thought, because they took everything out of packaging and put it beautifully into all of the containers. But I thought to myself, how are they going to keep that up? Where are they going to put all the stuff they're then going to buy? Are they going to take all of the packets out of all the boxes and put them all in the same order so you get a first in, first out system? And the things that we talk about with our clients and in our membership, I miss that kind of that teaching of how you need to do that. And I don't take everything out of packets, Lesley, because I just would find that too much to do.
Exactly. And I think that's one of our jobs, and that's one of our roles as professionals. When we see people, we have to make a judgment as to whether that client would be able to maintain that system. Now, we're not saying that people can't change and can't learn, but ultimately, if you're coming from a place of complete chaos, which that kitchen was, to be fair, how are you then going to go to a system that's going to be super hard and difficult to be maintained, meticulous and organized? And that's the problem. Somebody asked us, we've been doing a challenge all week, haven't we? And one of the questions that came up this morning was all about decanting cereals into containers. And that's one of our things. Of course, it's going to work for someone who's highly organized and looks beautiful again. But are you the kind of person that has got the time and the inclination to repeatedly decant stuff into cereals and make sure that you've got that flow through where it goes to the bottom of the thing and then you fill it up from the bottom and then you're going to wash it in between? Are you that kind? Because that's extra work. Ultimately, do we want to bring extra work into our lives is the question. So I was nervous that family, having come from the place that they did, could jump straight to a super meticulous organized system. Let's move on to the Garage Declutter that was in episode 2, I think it was, episode 2. There's a couple of things that I wanted to talk about based on that Garage Declutter. First things first, garage sales. So that family wanted to do a garage sale. They'd not done a garage sale for many years. So my question would always be, is that actually realistically going to happen? If I'm honest with you, garage sales are easier. The American style garage sale is much easier than the British style car boot sale. I'm not sure what they do in Australia. We've had this conversation before. I don't know whether it's a car boot or a garage sale. I'm guessing that it's more of a garage sale in Australia. I think it might be something to do with the weather. I don't know. I wonder why we have car boot sale. I wish we had garage sales, don't you? It's much easier because you just bring it out of your garage and take it to somewhere, which is what we have to do. But anyway, so I would really question all that stuff. Again, all went into these plastic boxes, and it was very beautifully organized, which is, to be fair, the reason why garage sales are a bit of a no-no in my world, because you've got to be really organized and do a lot of work beforehand to do a garage sale to make sure things are organized. And so I would question that part of it. Is that garage sale actually going to happen? And the other thing that really struck me, Ingrid, was, did you notice that every single one of those boxes was maximized perfectly in terms of storage? So it had it didn't have half a box full. It didn't have one box full and a little bit extra on the top that didn't fit in the box. It had the perfect amount of stuff for every box, which did make me wonder whether it might have been slightly staged, I must admit.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I always have loads of stuff that doesn't fit into boxes. Where's all of that stuff gone? I mean, I did like their bike racks, and I did like, but and also the labels were quite small on all the boxes, Lesley, especially for a garage. If it's high up, because there was quite a whole shelving system that they built. They had the handyman build, and it looked amazing, but tiny, tiny labels. And I was like, okay, so then you come with your hands full of stuff for stuff you think needs to go to the garage sale as well. So how can you see then where you need to put it?
And then once everything's sold at the garage sales, then you've got tons and tons of empty, beautiful plastic boxes, haven't you? And then you'd have to sell that. Maybe you could sell those as well at the garage sale. But yeah, those were the things that struck me about the garage sale.
Yeah, yeah. For me, the final thing that I want to mention is they were trying on a few bits and things like that, and I was like, oh, I would never do that with my clients' items. You know, I mean, I'm assuming they had permission to put from Reese Witherspoon to put her slippers on and take a selfie and to put the fur on, and they kind of, I don't know. It seems like sometimes they were very careful with the stuff, and other times, like when they found the box with the ashes, I was like, oh my goodness, what is she doing? And then she was like, almost like, oh, what is this? And kind of handling it quite roughly. I'm always so careful with my clients' items, and I try to not kind of empty a drawer and kind of start rifling through it. I'm far more gentle with taking it slowly. And I think she put a birth certificate in a sentimental box, and I was like, no, that needs to go into the office. No, why are you putting this in a sentimental box? This makes no sense to me. I was shouting at the television, Lesley.
I agree. So just jumping back to the trying things on again, I think that it was probably for the show. It was probably for the show. Of course it was. And I don't think they go around trying things, trying to be people. Actually, if we were trying things on, we'd literally have to strip off in front of a client to put things on. I don't think that would go quite so well in the middle of a decluttering session, because they weren't with the client and we would be. So that would be a whole new connotation, wouldn't it? The clients try stuff on sometimes in front of us, but not the other way around.
Yeah, for sure. You know what? In the end, it's entertainment, it's TV. You can see they're good friends. Good on them. If Eva Longoria ever wants to declutter her cupboard, she can call me. I will come to Hollywood, not a problem.
Yeah, you're going to go for free, aren't you? You do it for free. Put it out there. If Eva Longoria wants to do Santi's wardrobe again, Ingrid's going to come to Hollywood for free to do it.
It's just beautiful to see, and I'm really enjoying it, and I will definitely, of course, finish the show. There might be things I don't disagree with. There might be other things that I think, oh, that was a great idea. I hadn't thought about it that way, but I love it that they've incorporated the zoning and the categorizing and fantastic, beautiful storage. But it is what it is.
It is. And the interesting thing is we've had a lot of calls this week with people mentioning the show saying, do you do the same kind of thing as they do on the home edit? And my answer, I'm kind of cagey. Yes, we do. But we do slightly more decluttering and slightly less boxes.
Yeah.
So, basically. But yeah, of course, it's the exact same thing, but it's a different thing. Are we going to come in and create that? I don't want people's expectations in a one-bedroom flat to be dashed by the fact that we might not quite make it look like Reese Witherspoon's.
I know. I love using an empty shoebox. That's not going to fly when they've just watched the home edit with beautiful containers that cost $28, right? And there's me going, let's just use an empty shoebox for now until we really decide where it's going to live in your house.
Exactly. So it is good fun. And we just thought that everyone seems to be watching it at the moment that loves decluttering and organising, polarised views. And we just wanted to put our viewpoint in there as well, didn't we, Ingrid?
Yep. Yeah, definitely. So I hope it's been helpful. I hope you've enjoyed hearing our point of view, what we like, what we thought, okay, that's very different to what we do. These are a few bits that we thought, oh, that's interesting. We hope you've enjoyed it. So that's it for this episode. So thanks so much for listening today. And if you think, oh, my friend or my colleague or my family member needs to listen to the podcast as well, do share our show with anybody who you think would love it too. On our show notes page on our website, you can find all the sharing buttons. If you want to have more handy tips and advice from Lesley and I, you can find us in lots of places. First of all, you can still join in our challenge. The replay page will be up for the next week or so. So if you still want to join in, make sure you go to our website and sign up, declutterhub.com/reset challenge. And then you can still watch and find the workbook, see all the videos that we've recorded, and get more information about that. So do check that out. And we also have a fantastic Facebook group called the Declutter Hub Community, and we are also on Instagram and Twitter as @DeclutterHub. If you think to yourself, you know what, I would love to start doing some decluttering and organizing in my house, but I don't know where to start, that's where you need to come and join us in the VIP membership. We would love to see you there. Have a look on members.declutterhub.com. That's members.declutterhub.com for all the information. And if you don't want to miss the next weekly episode, subscribe to the Declutter Hub podcast and it will pop into your notifications each Friday. We've been reading all of your reviews and absolutely loving it. And we're so grateful for you for listening in every week. So thanks so much, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Declutter Hub podcast. Check out declutterhub.com for more inspiration, and don't forget to tune in next week.